the speed and the pace. Yeah, the speed and the pace is pretty good, so we'll just keep it to that. So I guess what I want to kind of mention is one of the feedback for the lesson for this one. So one person, someone asked whether we can explain the Excel implicit intersection operator. So I think it's the same thing as what someone mentioned last week about what is this. So let me just share a screen about this function in particular. So actually, I don't use this that often either, but it is something that will help to, so say you have an array. So what array means is a range, right? So for example, an array would be like this, like maybe like 5 rows here. Then if you have, normally, now we have arrays, right? If you do this, you can get like a list. But then if you put I think if you put a add, it will force it to become one value. So that's what it kind of is. So that's, normally when I see this is on like older files, like older versions of files from like years ago, then they have this kind of like thing. And it's because apparently they upgraded the Excel function. So some of the old functions you'll see this kind of thing. Yeah. So if you're interested, you can also continue to look in this article. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let me share this in the, you can check this article out if you're interested in knowing more. Yeah. Okay, then I think that's all for the survey. Okay, so if you guys are, what's going on? Let me try to reshare. Okay, yeah, if you guys are ready, I'm gonna use the name generator for people to come up to share their answers for this homework. So currently we have about a few questions. So I'll start off with 1A. So the question is that we have this data set of students, and they're from different universities, right? Then they have 2 different insurers, and then we want to know the various information, like how much each university is paying and all this kind of thing. Okay, so for 1A, so the question is find the insurer for each student in column G using table A. So I'm just going to use the name generator and see. Oh. Okay. Genevieve. Is Genevieve here?
Hi, yeah.
Hello. Are you ready to share? You can share screen.
Oh, share screen.
Yep.
Okay, hold on.
Yep, just for one. Oh, just the answer. Yeah. You can just take over the share screen if I.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, we can see your screen. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so it's just this formula
Mm-hmm.
for 1A.
So,
Yeah.
can you explain your formula, like which functions you used and how you got it? Yeah.
Basically, I use index and match.
Mm-hmm.
So you first refer here to your K, which is the year, and then after that you match like the whole column, and then after that you match it to the then you match it to the value over here. Wait, yeah, the lookup value here, and then after that, the lookup array, which is over here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then after that, you match it to C2, the school, and then after that, you look at the school array here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, so does anyone, thanks Genevieve. Yeah. Does anyone else have another answer that you want to share? Okay, then actually there's a few ways to do it, but it seems like everyone also did the index match way. So the other way would be to actually use VLOOKUP, and also there's a few ways, but I also personally prefer index match because it is easier for me to conceptualize and more flexible. So there's these 3 methods. First one is the index VLOOKUP with match. So VLOOKUP, I mean, it's similar to index match. Except you don't have to specify the first row, you just specify the whole array, and you take the first value, and then the lookup is always the first column. which is why I think index match is something that's more flexible in a sense. Yeah, instead of having to highlight the whole range, you just select the two rows that you need, the two columns that you need. Yeah, then this one is index match, and the last one is X lookup. So it's kind of similar to the first two, but there's kind of just different syntaxes lah. Sorry, I think someone's in the waiting room. Okay. Yeah. Any questions on this? Okay, then we will move on to the second question, which is 1B. Find the premium paid by each student using table B. Okay, there's another person coming in. Yeah. Yingfei, are you here? Yep, Yingfei. We can't hear you if you're
Sorry,
speaking.
I'm trying to screen share.
Can. No worries, yeah. Take your time.
Can you all see?
Yes.
So the formula, I use XLOOKUP for this. Yeah.
Yep, you want to explain also what you did?
I use the if function. Yeah, then after that, the lookup array would be the table here, and then yeah, the return array is another XLOOKUP function.
Do you want to explain why you use the if function and why do you use LIV? Because the lookup key is Glen and LIV male. It looks a bit different, right? Yeah, you're not wrong. By the way, you're not wrong. Just you want to explain like to the class like why you chose to do that? Yeah.
Oh yeah, actually I wasn't very sure how to do this. So I was trying like how to get the lookup key. So I was thinking like if it's cause the Glen charges would be the same regardless of gender. So I use the if. So if is the insurer is Leaf, then they would combine Leaf and the insurer name and the gender to get the lookup key. Yeah. So I tried to work it out based on the lookup key.
Yep, that's correct. Yeah. I guess another method. Thank you. So I'll share the other method. Let me see. Yep, the other method is this. So I also prefer the other method normally so this method in the answer key, they just duplicated the Glen and female. So this entire thing and this equals to row 6, so that the lookup key kind of makes sense and you don't have to hard code it. Yeah, I guess the downside for the first method is that you're hard coding something, but this method you have to duplicate the rows also. So I guess to each its own. It depends on your purpose, what you want to do with it. So now that you have the duplicated thing, right? So here, then you can just simply use the VLOOKUP as per usual, but then you don't have to do an if in here. Yeah, that's just the other method. Yeah. Any questions for this? Okay, I will move on to the second question. Okay, so find the number of students and total premium paid by enrollment year in school. So let me get someone to do question 2. Joshua, are you here? Joshua? Yeah.
Yeah, let me share screen.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you can just take over the screen sharing.
Can you see my screen?
Yep, you can.
Okay. Question 2, right?
Yep, question 2.
Yeah, so I just count ifs.
You want to explain how you get this count ifs? Like you can verbalize the formula. Yeah.
I mean, it's basically you match your school first. That's why. So this is the lookup array, and this is the what's that called? And this is the school name. Then this is then the second one is the criteria for the year enrolled and the and the year that enrolled lah. But I'm a bit lazy lah, so I went to just do the whole column lah. I didn't number it. I just put C see,
Yeah.
I mean, nothing wrong, lah, but yeah.
Yeah,
Then,
definitely nothing wrong. Yeah.
in a similar idea, it's the same thing, lah. I think it's quite straightforward, lah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, on this point, same thing. So normally I will also use the whole column because I think it's a bit more cleaner. But I think the only thing to take note is that understand your data, make sure there's nothing below or above it. Sometimes if you have some like weird data at the bottom, it might count incorrectly. So just make sure that
Bonus
you
point power.
yeah, I mean, in that case, yeah, just need to know your data set quite well, lah. And then you can do this thing because we want this kind of method in case like maybe your data set grows, you don't really want to always change the formulas and everything. Yeah, so just know, yeah, take note of that, I guess. Yeah, okay, thank you so much, Joshua. Okay, let's go to the oh, any questions for this? Okay, good. Okay, then we will move on. Okay. Next person. Okay, no, Joshua. Tingshen, are you here?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead and can take over the share screen.
Sure.
Oh yeah, sorry. The question would be question 3. Yeah.
Questions to use
Index match to look up the number. Yeah.
numbers of students enrolled in a given year from Q2.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we just need to find how many number of students enrolled at I guess it's year 2017 at U. So I just use this function index. So basically I want to look at number from this table from Z16 to AB20 and I want to find which number is that. So I first do the row. So I find where 2017 lies in this row or in this column, like small column. And then I want to find which column index it is for NTU. And then I try to match the row index and the column index, and I allocate that number to be 11.
Okay, that's great. That's fantastic. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I hope you guys are not like very bored by this because I like to hear how you understand the formula rather than just using it like just like without thinking about how it actually you need to visualize it. Yeah, I think so far everyone can do that, which is very good, very good. I think because initially I also had some trouble with kind of understanding how to use this. Okay, then any questions about this? Okay, then I will move on to the next one. Let's see. Hagen, are you here? Hagen, if you're speaking, we can't hear you.
Oh, hi. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead and take over the share screen.
Sure.
Yeah, it will be the next question, which is number 4. Yeah.
Number 4, huh?
Yeah.
Give me a while.
Yeah, go ahead, take your time.
Okay, so the next question is should be number 4, right? So like how much did each school pay in premiums per student per year? So apologies
if you're sharing your screen, we are looking at another spreadsheet. We're looking at the pivot table spreadsheet.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh wait, sorry,
You want
give
to
me a
reshare? Yeah, no, go
Yeah.
ahead. Yeah. Take your time.
All right. How about this one?
Yeah, looks good.
All right, sorry. So apologies for the null values here because I got the formula wrong for this one, but I just
no
reported.
worries. Yeah.
But if I'm bringing through formula wise, so it's basically the same as index match. So basically you pull in the supposed values like over here, this part, and that's where the AB16 and 8020, and then you just match the row and the row number and the column number based on the year and row. So for this one, you just match it on year 2016 and column and US based on the values over here. So yeah. So that's what formula wise.
Can you show me the formula again? Just briefly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so for this one, just a very small thing. I think it's just because the values were not there. So this
Yeah.
one is asking for per student. So the only thing you need to do is to divide it by the number of students.
Ah, I
This
see,
one.
I see, I
Yep.
see.
Yep.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
okay.
Then no worries, no worries. Then do you want to show how you did the chart? Maybe can you
Uh,
copy some values from the above?
Oh,
Just
from
any
the
random,
above.
but then you can see like how the graph kind of looks like, I guess.
Oh, yeah, sure,
Yeah.
sure, sure. Um,
Yeah, just the question 2, you can just copy over and you can see how it looks like, I guess.
oh, from question 2, you mean?
Yeah, the number of students, you have some values there, right? You can just so you can just to illustrate how your chart looks like. Yeah. Oh wait,
Uh,
actually, oh, that's not part of the question. Okay, never mind. It's okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah.
No worries. No worries. No worries. No worries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Anybody got questions about that one?
Sorry, we can use average ifs, right, for this question instead of using the data from the previous table.
Average ifs. Do you want to share your screen? You can show me.
Okay.
Because average is yeah, you can show me if it's
Are you able to see it?
we are seeing a screen, but it's a blank.
Oh no.
No
I think
worries.
there's
No
some
worries.
issues with screen sharing. I can copy paste the formula.
Sure, sure. Yeah. Okay. So this one is for cell AA36.
Mhm.
Okay, let's see. Because normally I don't think I would use average ifs. So wait. Okay.
So I
This
wrote two
one.
conditions. So I averaged the the premiums, which is column H, with two conditions. So the first condition is if the student was from NUS, and the next condition will be the year.
Hmm. So it's AA36, right? Do you have additional helper columns, is it? Because it seems to be pointing at the like blank spaces. Oh, can you share your file in the chat? We can see together.
Hang on.
Yeah, you can upload your file here, I think.
Can I send you on the Telegram?
Oh yeah, sure, of course. Yeah, yeah. Okay, give me one moment. Okay, yeah, sorry for the wait, guys. Let me share my screen. Okay, yeah. Okay, I see. Okay. 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 Okay, let me see. So we took the average of. So we took an average of the premiums weighted. So the criteria is the school and the year enrolled. Yeah. So then after, so how it works is that it's like count is, so they count the number of which the criteria fit, and then divide by the amount here. Yeah, so it works. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, then any more questions on this? Okay, then we will move on. Oh, is that the answer? Okay, let's go to the name question 5. Tingshen, are you here? Did I ask you just now? Sorry.
Yeah, you asked me in the question.
Sorry. Okay, it's okay. Next one. Kevin, are you here? Okay.
I am here.
Okay, you can share screen. You can take over.
Okay. Wait, sorry about that.
No worries. Take your time.
Okay. Okay, for this one is just if you spend more money, if you selected a different insurer for NTU, sorry, actually I didn't reach this part at all, so I'm not very sure how to explain it also.
No worries. Then
Yeah.
I can share screen then. Yeah, thank
Okay.
you. Okay. Yeah, so this is just a very qualitative question about like what each university should do. So we see that NUS, we see that they have chosen the LIV insurer all the time. So LIV is the one with the differentiation of the premiums by gender, right? Then you can see that there was a spike in 2018 that increased the proportion of male students from 2018 onwards. So since they have a greater proportion of male students, NUS will be able to reduce the insurance spending if they switch the insurer to Glen, which has no differentiation in the amount. Because generally males have a higher premium anyway, so that's why it will be easier, more like affordable for them to switch. Yeah. But then for NTU, they've chosen Glen for 2016, 2017 and LIV from then onwards. Then they saw the spending drop in 2018 because they switched. And then this is expected because they have so in this case, it's better for them to be taking one which has the differentiation because they have a more favorable mix of their students, which is females compared to males, which are higher in premiums. Yeah, so this is the kind of opposite tip. So it's kind of like insurance where you want to price there's the product pricing aspect of it. And the last one is SMU, which has chosen Glen all the years, which is the one without the differentiation of the gender. Then you can see that the spending increased. And since we saw these two results, right, we know that if you have a larger proportion of males, you would want to go to one that doesn't have a differentiated price. Yeah. Okay, any questions about this? Yeah, and then I guess one note that you can do, this is something that you should do, is do checks over here and there. So we know the total amount of students is this. So we need to know that the sum of, like when you do different workings, it's very easy for things to just go awry. I don't know what happened to your formulas, right? So do a simple check to make sure that your figures tie up in all of the workings lah. Okay. Can any questions before I move on? Okay, let's move on to the lesson proper. This one is the fine. Yeah. This is okay. So we will move on to graphs and pivot tables. So this part is a bit more about not very quantitative or like very skills. You need to have power. You don't really need to have very strong Excel skills for this, but this is more about communicating a result. So as an entry level actuary or like as an intern, a lot of your job will be data cleaning or analysis or something like that. So when you deal with the data, a lot of the times what your manager wants is the output, right? So you clean the data, you summarize the data in a way that your manager wants to see. And a lot of times they just need the essence of it. So this is a way that you need, these are skills that you need to learn about how to communicate those results. One thing is quickly, because oftentimes you have a time limit, right? But another thing is to highlight the salient points that they need. Yeah. So in this case, it will be graphs and pivot tables. So some best practices is, you need to present your key information clearly, choose the most appropriate type of graph, emphasize the important features, label, use the units of measurement, use the appropriate scale, and exclude irrelevant or distracting features. Okay. So the first, so we'll go through the different chart types. So so first one we'll go through is the bar charts. So here actually we can also use some shortcuts. You will see that I don't really like to use the mouse actually. So one thing that I would do is to hit alternate. A lot of times you'll get to see all the different shortcuts to the different functions. So even graphs, you can use shortcuts. And so for insert charts is Alt N, and then you can go to R for the recommended charts. You can go all charts here. So first thing, bar charts, we'll look at this. Well, bar is more of the times you will use columns actually. So this one will actually show the statistical distribution of the various values of a single variable. So I think if you study like any statistics, you'll know that there's a distribution. So when we have data and say we want to look at the mix of the customers. So we have this policy, this set of policy information. We have the age. We can use that age and we can see what is the distribution of age using this kind of chart. Yeah, so you will generally see a bell shape as you see, less people on the tail ends and more people in the center. And that's something you would use for bar charts. And then second thing is line chart. So this one is commonly used for trends. So for example, say you have, you're working in maybe the, on a slide of the economic changes, assumption changes, for example, from last year to this year. So you know that this year there was like all of the interest rate hikes and then now it's dropping. So you want to show this trend, you generally will use a line chart for something like this. Then the third thing is pie charts. So this one is generally only when you only have to show proportion. So generally maybe you say what's the proportion of gender, male or female, how does it look like? That's something you would use pie charts for. The fourth would be scatter diagrams, this one. So it's more or less to show the relationship between two variables. Yep, and then you can see if you've done statistics, you will know that then if there's a trend, you can see it from a scatter plot. And then the fifth one will be combo charts. So this one is something that I use the most often. So it's generally it is, you can see there's different types. I normally use the clustered column with a line because sometimes you want to show the relationship between two different things. For example, you want to see the revenue and the cost versus the profit margin. And then you can see what's going on, more clearly on the same graph. And then the last one is waterfall. So this one is generally used when you want to show the analysis of movement from point A to point B. So maybe easiest case you will see later is like a balance sheet. You start off with one value. They want to know where it increased, decreased, and then end up in the ending value. Yeah. Any questions on this? No? Okay, then I will make it very interactive also. Because I think this whole thing is a bit like dry if you just sit there. So I'll get someone to do each of the exercise here. Okay. So you've seen how to insert a chart, right? Everyone knows how to insert a chart, correct? Or just demonstrate for the first one, okay? Yeah. So for the first one, we have this one. So you select the data here, just select it like that. Then go to the recommended. Then you can see that for this one, we want to use a line graph. So you don't have to use the recommended one. You can just go here, select the line graph. So there's a few different types, but I think you can kind of tell like what you want to do. So for this one, it's a mortality. So QX is just the mortality for each of the age, normally per 1,000. So this one is per 1,000 or 100,000 or something like that. Yeah. So this is the age on the left-hand side. So we want this one. Okay. So like that, we insert it. Then, okay, so first thing on the right, we have different types of formatting, right? So first thing is the labels. We can add in labels here. So click on your chart. Sorry, am I going too fast? Okay, please let me know if you guys haven't gotten to this stage yet. Has anyone not gotten to this stage yet? Please let me know, or raise your hand or something. Everyone okay? Okay, very good. Okay, no worries. Okay, then next one. So we click on here, this chart elements here. We can add data labels here. Okay, oftentimes you don't really add it for a line chart because you can see there's so many values, but you add it for like bar chart or something like that, so that people can kind of see where what's the value lah. And then second thing is that we can see the axis. So when you want to adjust the axis, so for example, go to here, go to format. So alternate JA. I think slowly you'll get to know JC, I think. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Just go here. Right click. So first thing, right click on the chart, then click on format chart area. Then you bring up this this field on the right hand side. Then you have a lot of different options. So there's chart area, chart title, horizontal axis, plot area, vertical axis, and major grid lines. So we want to talk about axis, right? So just click on. Say we want to make the left hand side axis to be a bit more wider in a sense. So we just click on this. Yep. So there's a few things here. So first thing is the formatting that comes up. So this is the fill and the line. So this is when you want to kind of change the color or anything. Oftentimes I don't really use this. Yeah, I just keep to the default one. Then this is also about the aesthetics of the whole axis. The third one is about the alignment, also about kind of the aesthetics. The last one is something that is the more important one. So this is where you see the X. So this one is the data part. So this is the axis options. You'll see the bounds. So bounds meaning that what is the maximum and what's the minimum. So you'll be a bit careful when you do this, because sometimes it will already become the minimum and the maximum. Say you want to 0.00, I don't know, like if you make it very small, like all of your data will be gone. So normally you just keep it to auto. So one time, only times that I generally touch the bounds is if I know that the data is supposed to be like, it should equal to 100%. Like if it's like a mix, then I will change it to like 1, 0, 0 and 1, so that there's no extra space up and down kind of thing. But that's generally only when the time when I'll use it. Okay, then we'll go to the and then the next one is on. So the next one is about the units actually. So this one I want the horizon. Sorry. Yep. So you can see, right? I was saying that I want to make it a bit more wider. So I don't want to see so many different, because it's not really that useful anyway. So if you want to just can reset it. I don't need to see so many at each point lah. So I just want to make it a bit cleaner. You can use this and then make it wider. So 0.01 to 0.02. You can see that it becomes a bit cleaner. Yeah. And sometimes it becomes so when you use it, sometimes you're a bit too small, right? Then they do this kind of thing. So right, then you want to fit on your PowerPoint. So that's when generally I will use it to change the size. Yeah. So this one. So that's one of the use cases. Okay. Then okay, wait. Back to this. The third part is labels, as I mentioned just now. You can also have it here. So this is the label for this, so you can move it around left, right. And then number, this is also an important one if you're gonna change like the size of this. So sometimes you want it to be a percentage, you can change it here. Percentage. Number is the same as any Excel function if you want to change it to the different types of number formats. Okay, any questions about this part? Oh wait, okay, there's another part. Okay. Then you can also add the legend. The legend is here. Yep. So this one, you will just edit this so that people know what each of the line means. And then we can use the title. So one thing you can do, which is a bit interesting, I guess, is you can equal this. Then you will just pop out as a formula, so that you don't have, you can just edit the title from Excel. Yeah. I can do it for also the axis also. So if you say I want like axis labels here, axis titles, I just want the vertical one. Then we can do this click. So one thing is just click on the axis title, go to the formula bar, hit equals to, and then hit the header like that. Okay. Everyone good with that? Okay. Then okay, title.
Sorry, can you repeat the graph title thing again? Sorry, I
Can
didn't
of course. Of course, yeah. So say just now we have this, right, QX, but QX doesn't really explain what we want. So this, we want to change it to this one, graph 1 equals to graph of QX against H. It makes more sense, right, as a title. So we so one thing, first thing, hit on the QX. So you see the square come up. Next thing, go to the formula bar like this, hit equals, then go to the cell here. Then hit enter, and then you will pop up. Okay. Okay, great. Anyone has any questions on this? Everyone cool? Everyone good? Okay. Then we have the grid line. So last thing, this is just the grid line. You can remove it. A lot of times you'll see that a lot of the present PowerPoints, they don't have the grid lines because it just looks cleaner. So instead of grid lines, they have a data label so that you don't need to reference it. Yeah, so that's one thing to kind of make it cleaner. Yeah. Okay, so that's the first one. Okay, next one, I will get someone to do this. Okay, let me use the random number generator. Okay, let me just explain. Okay, so for this one, we have this data. It is by period, and then we have the total premium and total claim and the loss ratio. So what we want to see is the premium and claim by the period. So so I'm gonna get, so yeah, first thing, I just want to see just the total claim and total premium. So maybe first question I'll ask, so which kind of a chart should we use? So that's the first question. I'll get someone to answer that. Okay. Hagen.
Should we use the clustered bar chart, is it?
For this one, so my question would be, I want to see the total premium and total claim by the period. Will we need, so we can ignore the loss ratio for now?
Okay.
So what kind of chart should we use?
I think it should be that bar chart, right? The bar chart where you can see like those two values in one specific. Is it clustered bar chart? I forgot the name.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
I understand what you're talking about. So that one
Yeah.
would be the next question. So normally, so when you look at okay, maybe we move that for later, but are you
Okay.
comfortable with showing us how to create a bar chart for just these three columns?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, can you share screen? Yeah,
Yeah.
you can just take over.
Yep. Voila. Okay, so I think if you want to do the total premium, total claim, you just highlight this and then just go to your bar chart. So you just pick this type of chart. So this chart kind of shows like, yeah, the paired up values like for one specific period, for each period.
Yeah. Can you show me how you can change the chart title to the graph of premium and claim by period?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So by clicking the chart title and then click on the formula box, you just type equals and then select the cell location that has the title in it. And yeah, just click enter and then yeah, automatic change.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, then we'll go on to the next part, which is, so now that we know we can do it, can show these two values by bar chart, I want to now see the loss ratio. So this will go on to what Hagen was mentioning just now, but I just want to get someone else to do it. Sikai, are you here?
Yeah, hi, but my Zoom has some issues. I can't really screen share.
No worries. Okay. Then can you just let me know what you think should be the kind of chart we want to use? out of maybe these 6? So just to, so these two are premium. So this is like amount, but this one is in percentage. What do you think we should use?
I'm guessing it's the combo chart.
Yeah, correct. So let me get someone else to try this. Brendan, are you here? Brendan, yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
Can you share your screen and try to create the combo chart?
Okay.
Oh wait, actually wait. Actually I've not gone through. This one's a bit complicated. Let me do this. Sorry, I'll let you do the next one.
Okay.
Yeah. So for this one, sorry about that. I forgot. Okay. So highlight the entire data set, then go to add a chart. So here normally they will already like recommend something, and this one is the correct one. So how they know, right, is because my understanding is that they will see the values and then they see it's quite significantly different from the other two, so they automatically already make it the line. But we will not go there first. We will do it the manual way. So go to combo at the very bottom. Then say normal. Maybe sometimes it will look like this. Sometimes like this. Then you'll see, oh no, where's my loss ratio is gone, right? Then you only see the total premium, total claim. So we'll hit on this one, go to line. So you can see actually there's a lot of different types. Maybe you want to say like you want to do area. I can't see it either. Yeah. But you can go line first. Then you see, oh, I still don't see it. It's like very flat at the bottom. So next thing you want to do is the secondary axis. So it's just two different axes for two different values. So, but you still can see the trend. Yeah. Everyone understand this part? Everyone can get to this point? Okay, yeah, okay, then we just add it in. So that's how you do it. Okay. Yeah, so this one is the graph 3. So just now here. So they actually just want the claim and loss, right? So another thing that we can see is that so you go to change. So once you finished it, you go to change to chart type. So alternate, JC, C, like that. You hit up the option again. Then oh no, sorry, actually you go to chart design, select data. Okay, let me go through it again, right? So we go to JC, Alt JC, select data. So here you can see we have our 3 columns here: total premium, total claim, total loss. And then on the right hand side is the horizontal axis labels. This is the period. So we just want to see claims, right? So just remove the premium like that. Then we will only see the claims here. Okay, everyone know how to get to the option? Because a lot of times it won't be so clean. Say you have like the example here, you have like so many columns, you want to exclude some of it, so you need to know how to remove these columns. Okay, can. Okay, next one, let's go to. Okay, so next one is scatter and so next one is scatter and best fit. So this one, can someone try to do this? Just create the scatter chart. Yeah, let me get someone to do this. Joshua, can you share screen?
Hi, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so for this one, try to find the appropriate chart type. So it's the different policy numbers and then the car value.
Is it just this line graph? Or
Actually, sorry. Can you just select column D and column E for?
okay, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, you're just okay.
Yeah. Yep, so we only want to select column D and column E because for a scatter plot, you don't need the policy number. What you need is just the different, so you think about it, axis, for scatter plot, you just need an X and Y axis, right? You only need 2, and they can only accept 2 anyway, so you just need to select these 2 columns, the car value and claim cost. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Okay.
Do I need to draw the best fit line?
Do you know how to do it?
I mean, I can't
I was
exactly.
gonna go into
It's like this, right?
Yeah.
You just add the trend. You just add the trend line, right?
Yeah. You
You
want to
need the
explain
R
how you
square
did
value also.
it? Now you're just flexing. Okay,
No,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know, but
Yeah, yeah, but it's
it
very
just
good.
add
Yeah,
the
yeah.
trend. It just add the
Mm.
trend line here, right? You just
Yep. So you
double
right click
click.
on the chart and then go format trend. Can you undo your
Okay, yeah,
working
sure.
first?
No,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So you can. Yeah. Then you just right click on the chart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then add trend line. Everyone can you guys see that? And then you can see on the right hand side there's the exponential, linear, log, and everything. This kind of thing you guys know from stats. Yeah. So that is how you add the trend line. Everyone can get it. Everyone good? Okay. Okay. Then thank you. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, waterfall. Okay, this one I will go through. So as said previously, so this is normally when you want to explain the variance from one number to the next. So this one is like cash flow. So we select the entire data again. Oh, and then we go to, okay, so the third last one, hit the waterfall. Okay, I'll just go slower. Hope everyone can get it. Then you hit okay. So this is the default look of it. So you might think like, does this look like a waterfall to you? Because it kind of goes up, goes down, goes up and down. Yeah. And then, but normally we know that our starting is this is the starting and this is the ending. So you don't actually want this to be added here. It's not really an increase, but the ending value. So what you do is just you right click. So hit once on the chart itself. So you see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all 6 are highlighted, right? So when you are at this mode, anything you do will update everything here. And then, so what you want to do is just hit another time. So you highlight only this one, the first one. And then right click, set as total. And then this is for one side. And then this one, we also hit do the same thing. Don't select it first, then set as total. Yep. Now it makes a bit more sense. So it's the beginning and the ending. Then you can see the variance from the marketing costs. So because of marketing, the cash flow decreased, then premium is inflow, and then claims is the outflow, exchange rate is inflow. Yeah. And can everyone get this point? Okay. Okay, everyone. Can
Hi. Could you
yeah.
explain a bit what does the set total do? Set
Yeah,
as
of
total do.
course. Okay, so for this waterfall chart, we have 3 different things. So let me just go back. So when you first, let me just. I'm not sure how to do it. Okay, never mind. Okay. So this is the default, right? So what Excel sees is a bunch of increase and decrease, a bunch of positive and negative numbers. So they automatically assign it to be an increase if it's a positive, and a negative for those they will set as a decrease. But then you see a third one as a total, right? So when we do waterfall charts, the purpose of it is to show the analysis of movement. So what is the movement? It is not the beginning or the ending, right? So what is movement is these like marketing cost, premium, claim, and exchange rate. So these are the movement, and these are the ones we are saying is an increase, decrease. But what's the total is what we are actually the beginning position and the ending position. So this one we want to set as a total, because right now it doesn't really make sense. Because what we are showing here is that, okay, the net, so it maybe starts from 0, then it increased by 4 million, then kind of move. But then the last one, we're saying that it moves by 3 million. But that's not the correct thing. What we want to see is that how did it get from 4 million to 3 million? So in that case, we need to set the first one as a total. Then we set the last one as a total as well. So we right click and set as a total. Then now it makes a bit more sense how it moved from 4 million to 3 million. Okay? Okay, great. Fantastic. Okay, let's have a break until 7:30. Okay, too long. Okay, 7:20, 28. Okay, 5 minutes. Okay, see you guys. Yeah. Hello guys, are you guys back? If you guys are back, please turn on your camera so I know you guys are back. Hello, the rest of you guys, are you guys there? Okay, then we will start. Okay. Yeah, okay, next one about how we communicate results. This thing called pivot table. So it's a function that summarizes data as sum. So I think you guys might know other kind of software that can do a similar thing, but on a very much bigger scale. So for example, like Power BI is kind of like a pivot table, but on a very much larger scale. And then Tableau, similarly. So it's all data visualization and ways to explain your data. So we can start off with pivot table first. Yeah, so how do we insert a pivot table for the first thing? So select the entire data set here. So one thing you need to note about, so this must be after you clean your data. You cannot have very strange, so for example, clean your data means that all of your data has the same type. So all these are numbers, and then these are all dates. You don't want to have different types of data formats here. Second thing is all of your headers must be filled in. For example, say I have a column, never mind. Let's say I have a column, like column L, this one. I'm pointing at it. So this one, column L, this one is empty, right? If we try to actually create a pivot table, so how to create a pivot table, alternate V, and then N. Wait, alter NV, right. Then select T, the first one. Can everyone get to this point? I'll do it again. Alternate N, V. Then select the first one, T, table range. So we get to this point, right? Everyone still can, right? Let me know if you cannot get to this point. Then after this one, you see that the first one is the table range that we want to have as our data set. Then the second one is where we want to insert it. So normally I'll just add it to a new worksheet, but you can always select hit existing worksheet. Then we have the location. So just go anywhere. So for example, just hit this. Then you can hit OK. Yeah, but I don't want to edit there, so let's just ignore that. Okay. Okay, then hit to new worksheet. So this is the new worksheet, right? And then this is the A3, so this is where the pivot table will begin. And then, but this is not what the size of the pivot table is, it is just where the starting location is. So this table set, let's just understand our data first. So that's the most first thing that we need to do. So this is a data set of the different policy data in a sense. Then we have the start date, the birth date, the gender, the claim incurred date, and then there's a reported date. So these are kind of different. So reported is when the claims is submitted, like it's reported to the insurer. Then incurred date is when it actually happens. So for example, you see all of these will happen generally before. So incurred date will be generally before or equals to the reported date. And then we have the different benefit, the premium amount, and then the claims amount. So this is a very typical policyholder like claims data set. So we have this. Then we will next need to know what do we actually want to see. So let's just go to the exercises. So first thing, we want to create a pivot table. So that's what we have already done. Then we next want to know what is the claim amount by benefit, gender, and incurred year. So this is what we mean by it can aggregate all of the different types of factors by the different types of factors for by benefit, gender, and the incurred year. So we can quickly do that. So when we see our pivot table here, first thing, generally I go in order. So we want to first fill in. So these are all of your fields that you have just now. So policy data, all of these things here. Then we have the 4 fields here we can fill in. First thing is the filter. Second is the column, row, and the last one is how you want to summarize these values. So generally what needs to be done is that for the values it should be it should be a number. It shouldn't be something like the policy number. While it's a number and you can summarize it, you don't really want to put it there because it doesn't even make sense. Yeah, please don't follow this. This is a negative example. So policy number, it is a column, it's like a identifier. You can put it in a column or a row. But in this case, what you want to know is the by benefit, right, the claim. So we hit this. You can put this as a row. So normally you want to decide where you want to put the row and column, right? I think it's kind of depending on your purpose and how you generally do things. So I will generally put like this kind of factors as a row rather than a column. And yeah, that's just personal preference and how you want to show your data in a sense. Then what I will usually put as a column is like the year. So you can see like side by side how it looks like. Yeah, so it's kind of things that, yeah, that's why pivot table is very powerful because it is can summarize data quite easily, and then you can show it in very different ways, many different ways. Yep, so first thing, so we've done that. Then we want to add the gender, right? So I'll add it here, gender. Next one, so how the order really matters. So you can see that if I move the gender and benefit around, it will be one on top of the other. So be aware of that on how you want to summarize it, right? So the next one we want to show is by incurred year. So incurred year, so you can see, right, I don't really have an incurred year here, but I do have an incurred date. So one good thing about pivot tables is that they are aware about the dates, so they can separate it into the year, the quarter, and the day itself. So you can see if you pull this in, you get 3 things. So if you actually expand it here, so you just click on the plus sign here, you see that it will automatically create its own, yeah, it knows what day it is and what year it is. And then, yeah, but in this case, we just need the year, so we just remove the other 2. Yeah, like that. And then that's the 3 things. So next thing you see, right, this might not be, so generally this is the design of it. So it depends. So we go to alternate, JY for the design. You can see we can change the report layout. So it's also based on personal preference. For me, I always like to show in tabular form because this one is a bit hard to, so say you want to do a filtering or whatever, it's very hard to like VLOOKUP or whatever index match on this. So you go show as tabular form. Everyone can get here, right? Slow it down. I'll try again. Okay. Go to design, report layout, show in tabular form. And then next thing, because if I want to do an index match, right, you see this empty rows and things. I can't really do that in this case, right? So go to design again, report layout, repeat all items. Then you can see it repeats everything. Then once I do that, another thing I will do is to remove all of this total because I can simply, what I want to see, I'll be able to do it outside of this. I don't really need a subtotal. So just remove the subtotal. So like this. So right click on the thing, the total that you don't want to have. Because if you right click on other things, yeah, just remove the subtotals. Yeah, remove. Yeah, then you get a very clean data set again. Yeah. Everyone can get to this point? Can't see. You see? Okay, can. Then I'll move on. So once we get to this point, then we check again. We want to see the variable that's being summarized is the claim amount. So go to claim amount here and just pull into values. So at this point, there's a few things we can do here, and I generally do for different things. So this values field is a bit different from the other rows value. Here, generally, you can't really do much to it. Like you can sum the filters, different types of subtotals, but we don't really even use it here. But what I generally use is here to customize it. So say I don't want a sum of the claim amount, I want the average. So this pivot table can do very simple calculations. So you go to, so here, we hit the arrow, and then we hit value field settings. So you can see this comes up. So right now, the old default is always sum. So say you want to count. So count means how many claims there are. Hit the count, we get that. Okay, say you don't want that. There's also other types. like average, max, sum, min, product. So these are all very, very simple functions. And say you want to do something more complicated, I'll show you a method later on doing that. Then the second thing is you can show the values as. So this one is also quite helpful in a sense. So say you have data fields. We have a data field, right? A year field here, and you want to show a trend. So this is a very good way to actually show it. So for now, I'll just pull the years to the columns. This is generally why I like to use years in a column so I can show trends. So you hit the value field settings again. Go to, say I want to say what's the percentage growth from 2019. Okay, in this case, the data set is a bit like, there's only one 2019 one. But if you want to show the claims, you can show it as, so there's different types, right? So you can show it as a percentage of the column total. So we can just show a few. So grand total, you can see like this is just a percentage of the grand total, like that. Oh, grand total here. Yeah. So grand total means the grand total here. So that's why you see here doesn't add up. As in like 2019 is only 2.32%, 2020 is 9.68. Then the next one is, go to value field settings again. You can show it as column total. Oh, column total. Okay, then this is the 100%. You can see the mix, I guess, based on these different criteria, based and by the year. Okay, that's one thing. You can see that there's other things as well. So I won't go through everything. So next thing is percentage of row total, percentage of something. So this one is also quite interesting because it's more customizable. So when you have percentage of, you can actually choose what percentage you want it to be based on. So you have so many fields, right? So say I want to say I want it to be a percentage of like gender. So everything will based on the gender. Let's just actually maybe not. Let's not do that. Years. So this one, right? So just now I said I want to know what is the percentage growth from one year to another based on for the claim amount. So we click years, which is one of our fields in the columns, right? Then we click previous. What this means is that they will know that for this sum amount, I want this 2020 to be based on 2019. Okay, 2019 has nothing, so it will have a null value. Yeah, so when you click this, you can see that, okay, just now you saw, right, there's only a 2019 view, but now you can see that there's a growth of 605% year on year. So this is a very quick thing you can do. And sometimes maybe your manager will ask you to like, I want to know the trend. What is it like? You can use this as a way to show it. And you don't have, so this saves you the need to actually do this. The other method would be like this, right? If you want to growth, if you want to do it very manually, it will be like D9 over C9. So that just saves you the time of having to do that. Yeah. Okay. Anyone have any questions at this point? Everyone okay? Yeah. Then let's see. Another thing you can see is like a difference from. So same thing, it's very customizable. So you want a difference between different years. What's the difference between 2019, 2020, same thing. And then another thing is running total. So running total is you can see, we'll just show it. So it will just add up one by one by one by one. So you might think, what is the use case of this? So sometimes I'll use this when I need to see the distribution of maybe like say the policyholder profile. So I want to know what is the age mix, and we want to see how the distribution of the age increases over time. Like, is there more older ages or there's more younger ages, something like that. So that's one of the ways I'll use this function. And then I think, let me see what else is there. Yeah. Okay, then that's all for this part. Okay. Any questions? Feel free to ask. If not, I'll move on to the next question. No? Okay, then we'll move on to loss, the third question, which is what is the loss ratio by the group, benefit, and gender? So this question has a few things that we want to look at. So first thing is we need to first get the loss. So what is loss ratio, right? Loss ratio is just the claims over the premiums. Yeah. So we just, okay, let me just move the years back. Then we go to the premium amount. This is just for illustration. Actually, you don't really need to illustrate, but I think as an actuary, you need to show your working. Because honestly, a lot of the times you might get a value, but you need to show the checks you have done that is correct and things. So you should show your working all the time. So this is the premium amount and claim amount, right? Then I was telling you loss ratio, claim over premium. So you might think, how do I do this in here? Okay, one very easy method, definitely F. So yeah, E4 divided by, E4 over D4. Okay, then you might think, why am I doing this, right, rather than doing this? Because you can see once you go equals and you go to a pivot table, it will show it up as like get pivot data, this kind of thing. I generally don't like to use this because whenever I change the pivot table, it will mess up the formulas and everything. So I will generally choose to type out the formula itself. Yep. So this is one way. Yeah, definitely you can do that. And then, but the cleaner way, because say you have this, right? What's the downside? Say your pivot table increases, you need to pull down the formula. So what you need to do is go to here. So you don't really have a formula. I guess I'll show you another method to add in this formula. So you go here, click on any part of the pivot table, go to alternate JT, pivot analyze, go to J, fields, items, and sets, then go to calculated field. Okay, so at this point, everyone can get to here. I'll repeat again. Hit any part of the pivot table, go alternate, JT, J, calculated field F. Okay, let me know if anyone can't get it. So at this point, so what is this? So calculated field is actually it's like a formula, but for pivot tables. So generally you can put very simple formulas here, and I don't really recommend you put anything very complex in this, because can you imagine, like, you have to go into do any checking. You want your like maybe you pass on your worksheet to someone else and they want to do some checks. They have to go through this page, and you can see it's not very friendly. There's no colors to show you what is being done. So in this case, very simple calculation means that claim amount. So these are all the fields. Go to claim amount, then divided by premium amount. So that will be our field. Just rename it to loss ratio and hit add. Okay, everyone can get to this point? Okay, and everyone? Okay, can. Then hit OK. Then it will show up as a sum of loss ratio. So this point, since it's a loss ratio, we generally show it as a percentage. So just change it to a percentage, okay? So just highlight the entire column and change it as per normal, like any other value in the Excel table. Yeah, everyone can get to this point, right? Okay. Yeah, so that is our sum of loss ratio. So that's one part of it. So the next thing I want to show you is this function to group it. So say in this case, you want to group it between death and non-death. So how you do this is select the two fields here, accidental death and death. So just hit these two, right click and group. Everyone can see this here? Can everyone get to here? I'll click on group. Yeah, let me try it again. Oh, what happened? Okay, I guess we have to rename it, but normally you will be able to see as death and non-death. I don't know what's going on, but you can just rename it. So how do you rename things here, right? It's very, very simple. Just group 1, just delete death, then we'll update as death, okay? Anybody get any errors or whatever, like I did? No? Okay. Yep, so what happened is that we just added a group. So now accidental death that we selected, so it's quite manual, accidental death and death here. Then yeah, I'll just like to remove the subtotal here. So now they by this, and we can just remove the benefit here, because sometimes you don't need that granularity. So this is what we mean by we want to make it very salient. Sometimes we don't need to know the difference between accidental death, just remove it. Then this might be what your boss wants, something like that, okay? Yep. Okay. So next thing, I normally when I do group data, it's actually not for this purpose, but it's kind of for age. So say I'll use this as well. We create a pivot. This was just for demonstration. You don't have to follow. I'm just showing you guys what's possible. So next time you can do it. Let's add it to another table here. So we have. So I want to group the different ages. So here. So sometimes we have a bunch of age, right? So normally like from 1 to 99, and we want to see like the mix of the so like different buckets. We want to sort it together because we don't need to know the granularity up to the like 41, 42. We just want to know what's the bucket 40, 41 to 50, something like that. Then we can group it together. So right click on this, then you hit group. For numbers, they'll automatically give you some numbers here to group it by. So you can start at 41, then end at 60, but you can always do any other thing you want. So you want by. So if you have 100, normally they will separate it to 10, but since it's quite small, you can like change it to 5. You can see now it's then anything you add there. So in this case, okay, doesn't really make sense, mortality rates, you don't really add it together, but you can see that if this was like maybe the premium amount, whatever, like the mix, you can see that it will summarize very easily and very quickly. So that's what generally I will use for group data. Yeah. Okay. Everyone good on that part?
Just a quick question, right? The pivot tables don't need to be hard coded in, right? As in the data,
Hard-coded in.
because the examples here are all hard coded data. So I'm not sure.
Understand. No need. No need. Yep. You can have any, so say if all of these are formulas, if you look up something, yeah, it will work perfectly. Yeah. Any other questions?
Can I ask, just now when you're talking about the grouping, right, how do you select the different rows when they are not
Can.
adjacent?
Can let me remove this. Let's try again. So our purpose here is we want to group death together because we don't need to know the granularity between accidental and death, right? So just click one of it, like A4 and A8, then right click. So these are the ones you want to group together. Then just hit group. Then you get this thing, which is not what you really want. So you want to rename this one, group 1 to be death. Something more effective. Are you able to get that? Do you get any errors or something?
I cannot, I don't understand how you select A4 and A8 to get.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, how okay, you click on A4 and then you hit control on your keyboard and then A8. Sorry, I didn't see. Sorry. Yeah, then so that's how you select 2 different cells at once. And and then you group. Yeah. Anybody got any other questions? Sometimes I kind of forget. Yeah, kind of things. Okay, very good. Okay, where will we? Death. Okay, that is part 2. Okay, loss ratio. So okay, we want to show the loss ratio. Okay. Yeah, we did. So if you want to show it by group, just remove the rest. Just remove all of this stuff here, not necessary. Then if you want to just show this one is by, so just remove the year also. Yeah. So you can just add in fields and as you want. So this will be the loss ratio by the benefit. And then if you remove it again, get nothing, and then you get the gender here. Just pull it in, then you can see the gender here. Okay, everyone good? Okay, then we'll move on to number 4. Create a chart that shows the premium and claim amount by group, benefit, gender, and respective loss ratio. Okay, so we see that we need the premium, claim amount, and gender. Okay, go to the benefit. Oh, benefit 2. This one. What else is there? Claim premium and claim amount. Okay, it's there. Loss ratio. Okay, so the next thing that we can do is pivot chart. So just now we were going through all the different charts, right? So pivot table can do a similar thing, but it's a bit more, there's more bells and whistles for it. So just go to alternate, thing GT, alternate, yep. Go to C, which is pivot chart. Can everybody get here? Please let me know if you guys can't. Can't see you guys. Okay, and then we hit OK. So this, as previously said, right, we can't see the loss ratio anymore, right? So what you need to do is just go to design again, go to change the chart type, go to cluster, combo. Then similarly, just change it to secondary axis. Then that's how you get it. Everyone can get to this point. Okay. And then we can, so what's different about pivot charts is that it is more flexible. So anything that you do to the table will be done to the chart. Anything you do to the chart will update the table. So what this means is that if you want to have, so say like, sometimes what I want to do is like, I want to do this. I want to have two different charts based on one table, but they have different views. So I want this one to just show me the, maybe I want to filter it by male, female. See, everything changes. You cannot, like this changes, this changes, this changes. So if you really need two tables, two different views based on one pivot table, you have to copy, you really just have to copy and paste. And then then you just have to add another chart so that it doesn't link up together. Yeah, so that's the only way if you want to have two charts for pivot tables. Just delete everything. Yeah. And then another thing is, yeah, so these are just how you can filter it based on the theme, the gender. Can change it, you just want to see like death kind of thing. Yeah. Okay, so next thing I want to show you guys is that, so say I mentioned just now, you want to have two different charts, right? But you still want the filters to be the same. So I'll make it a little bit different. Maybe this one I don't want to show benefit. I want to show, what is there? Okay, let's just say I want to show by all of the benefit. But I want all of the filters to be the same. So I have two different tables, right? We insert C, cluster, combo, line. So these are two different things. But when I want to filter, I want everything to update. What we can do is go to design, go to, go to analyze, pivot chart analyze here. Then you can insert a slicer. Can everyone get to this point? Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't see you guys for a while. Yeah, so go to pivot chart analyze, insert slicer here. So you see the slicer here. It has different types of filters. So policy can filter by anything. So in this case, I just want to filter by gender because that's what's common between the both, right? So hit on gender, hit OK. So what this currently does is that if you hit this, it will just filter one chart because you only have it, you selected it for this chart. But what I want to do is that when I click this, I want this one to update as well. So that's what I'll show you. So when you hit on the slicer, can everyone get to this point also? Okay, can. Then we'll go to slicer, report connections. Here, okay, so this is when you see the different types of pivot tables. And then you have the different pivot names. You're like, okay, what is this actually? What do you mean it's 12, right? So how do you see the pivot table name? So you go to, actually I think you hit this, right? Oh, this is chart. So you can see on the pivot chart analyze, chart name, this is chart 1. Go to here, the table itself, you can see that this is pivot table 12. This is pivot table 15. So let's go back. So now that we know these are the names, go back to the pivot table analyze. Hit the slicer first. Go to slicer, hit report connections, then hit both of them, okay? So this will generally, so sometimes it's not that smooth because you generally need the exact same names and columns. If not, the two sets of tables will not sync up. So you need to make sure that both sets have the same column name. The names inside also similar, nothing like strange. Okay, then hit OK, and then actually no, sorry, let me take it back. The same data source. So data source, right? When I mentioned this one, you can check your data source. It must all be the same. Then it will sync up together. Okay. Yeah. So when we do that, so now that we synced it up, right? Yeah, you can see that it moves around, right? Yeah. So that's how you actually sync up two different types of tables. And when you will generally use this is when, say you want to build a dashboard on Excel, and like your manager asks you, okay, I want to see this, but I want to have different types of filters. I want to know if I hit this, it will update and everything. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, there's a few ways to mess around with it. So if you hit one like this, it will female and male, but you want everything together, you can like hit Control again and hit the F, and then you can see that everything is selected again. Yep. Anyone got questions on this? Okay. Can. Okay, what is the last one? Oh, okay. That is all. Okay, now it's 59. Okay. Okay, everyone okay? If not, I'll move on for this entire section. Anyone got any questions? Okay, everyone good. Let's go on to documentation. So this one is a bit even more dry, I would say, but this one is very essential. So say you are an intern, right? You're only there for like a few months. You want to have good documentation so that when you leave, people can still use your tools, and then they don't have to ask you like how do you maintain it lah. And especially when you use what is already there will be documentation, because generally you need to have good controls in the actuarial process, so there will be some documentation needed, generally for all companies, definitely. So what do you mean by documentation, right? So it should be on spreadsheets. In this case, is that it needs to be clear and flexible, and then you need to have clear instruction. So in this case, if people are using a spreadsheet, they will need to be able to replicate what you did. So you need to have very clear documentation in the audit trail. So audit trail is just something like instruction sheet, and then things that they should take note and stuff. So this is kind of the audit trail, and then it's in a way that it's easy for people to understand. Okay, so some best practices is that the first tab in the Excel workbook should contain very useful information for the user. So basic information, color coding convention, version control, data source information, and hidden tabs. So this is an example spreadsheet. So we have the about section. So this is what we mean. Color coding. So what I mean by color coding is that because a lot of times the models that we do, or like just any spreadsheet that we have fixed values, input values, we have formulas, we have ranges for like maybe VBA code. We want to be very clear what each of these values is from. If it's needed to be as an input, we generally have like a different color for it. So in this case, it would be yellow. Then external link inputs like light green with a yellow background. Outputs in different color. Calculation generally is a black color. And then yeah, some checks needed. Then next one is just instructions. So how do you use it? So it's just write in a way that it's easy for people to understand. Yeah. So like how do you use it? Describe the input tables that you have. So for example, I have 3 here. So you can see another thing that we do to color code, right, is that we want to highlight the different colors of the spreadsheet. So normally inputs will be the same color, calculation tabs will be the same color, because oftentimes when you see the spreadsheets that they maintain in the insurance companies, there's a lot of tabs. So we want to be very clear about which one is more, which one is for which purpose. Okay, yeah. So back to the instructions. We have the data tabs, and then data check tabs, and the parameters here. So these are all the input files. Yeah. So what this means is that generally when you get a set of data, right, say like we get let's pull this data again. Yeah, so we have this set of data, right? You want to check that the data is clean or something. You first thing, copy the data here. So generally the rule of thumb is that you don't want to mess up with any of the original data set. So always copy over what you're gonna do any workings on. Then you can like anything you want to do, like you want to sum, make sure that it's like sum of the below or something. You like check claim amount, total, something like that. Just sum that. You check that is correct or anything. Yeah, or you want to do any modifications to it. Say like you want to change like you want to add the loss ratio or anything. Actually no, this is just for checking. Yeah. Then okay, so that's for the checking tab. The next thing we have the parameters tab. So this one is where you want to input all of your different parameters. You want everything to be on the same page so that it's very easy for people to find. So normally for every spreadsheet, you have evaluation. So this one, for example, it might be something used by evaluation team. So you have the valuation date. So in this case, it will be like say 2021 September. So in this case, a lot of times what we will also do is to rename this cell to be val date, so that later we don't have to so it'll be very easy for people to understand. So next time, so say in another tab, like calculation, we want to refer to this parameters tab, go to equals to val date. This is easy to understand rather than the alternative, which is like equals to like this one, parameter C3, like we don't know what this is. So that's why we'll normally rename it. So after we rename it, next thing, important thing, we need to label this one, so we call it val date. So it's a named range. That's why just now we mentioned what color do you want to use it. So for okay, this one doesn't have, but normally for different companies, so generally it will be different colors. So this one will highlight as pink color. So then we know that this cell is a name cell. Okay, easy. Okay, then in same thing for interest rate, we'll rename all of this. Yeah. And then, yeah, so all of these are the different, then keep some good documentation that this one is based on what actually, what rate. So it's something that's more human that people can understand. Yeah. Okay, that's all for the input tab. Any questions so far? Yeah, because you guys would, later we'll also discuss on the coursework. So we'll be expecting to see a lot of these, good spreadsheet hygiene in your submissions also. Okay, can okay, so next part we'll be talking about the calculation. So this one, it's so it's just like calculation tabs. So a lot of these cases, say you finished everything, right? Everything is very good. You want to protect these so that people don't actually change it. So what this means, like maybe you need to share this spreadsheet to other teams. You don't want anyone to accidentally update it, right? You can actually protect the sheet. Oops. So just right click on the sheet, hit protect sheet, and then you can protect all of these. Like you can you can prevent them from, so these are what the users can do. So generally select log cells to copy the value. So generally what they need from it, but you want to stop them from being able to maybe edit any formulas and whatever. Yep. Everyone okay? Good. Okay. Then, so that's for calculation tabs. Then for output tabs, so all of these output tabs generally is quite similar. You need some documentation about what is actually the output for each of the tabs. And then you can also protect all of these worksheets. And then any changes to formula, you need to document it down. Yeah, so that will be in the change log here. Yeah, so make sure that any changes that you make, you note it down so that people in the future, they know like what happened to the spreadsheet. Okay. Okay. So that's for the first part. Yeah, so as mentioned, it generally should be separate tabs for the inputs, calculations, and outputs. These are the general big three categories of the tabs. And then inputs have the separate tabs for data source, data manipulation, And then make sure that any links to external sources, you note it down very clearly where it is, and then do checks on the data. So especially for the inputs, you need to clean your data out. Maybe say like the policy number, there's like null value, whatever. Make sure that you can edit it, maybe remove the null values, edit a 0 or something like that. You know, just make sure that your data is clean before you start. Then do some checks. So one of the examples is that make sure the claim date is before the inception of the policy, or just now the same example, incurred date should be before or equals to the reported date, something like that. Yeah. And then so if you manipulate the data, also note it down what happened, so that next time people can actually replicate, and anything goes wrong, you can say that this is what actually, or like something that looks different, you can say what actually happened. So in case people ask about it. And then for any assumptions, you can have a last update date, this kind of thing, like exchange rates and everything. Okay. Then for calculations, the calculation tab, so keep the formula simple and short. So I think I mentioned briefly just now that we want to show our workings as much as possible. Like as much as possible, like just now when I show you the pivot table calculation, if you're going to put something very complicated in it, no one can understand it, and they won't be able to trust the value that comes out of it if they can't really replicate it. So make it very clear and easy to understand for people. So even like formulas, like if you have a very complex model, break it down into very simple parts, like this plus this equals to this, then this divide by this. Don't add everything together, okay? Don't have it in different columns, okay? Yeah. And then try to keep the formula consistent from across the rows. So what this means is that if you copy the first cell of the table, you should be able to copy and pull it down to the last one without any errors. Yeah, you shouldn't have anything I mean, that sometimes you have to have some manual adjustments. Then you have to highlight that row in particular and note down that what is done, so that in the future people know that, okay, this one is like manually adjusted, okay? Yeah, so next thing, so the next part would be about macro. So this one generally is VBA, so we'll cover this next lesson, but this is only done if the formulas are too slow or Excel is not able to calculate it. So sometimes when your data set is too big and then you try to index match like I don't know, 100,000 rows, you often hit this error, like they'll say Excel has run out of resources to calculate this, right? So this is some of the cases you want to use VBA, because you literally cannot calculate it without the computer. I can't calculate it with the Excel itself. So why you do that? Because VBA itself is kind of complicated. Like we don't really want to go in to check it, so only do it if it's necessary. Yeah, so keep it as clean and as easy to understand as possible. And then we have so oftentimes if it's a macro, do use buttons so people don't have to go into the macro. So we'll introduce this, but macros, you can either run it from, open the developer tab, open it, and then you can run it from there, or you can insert a button for people to click it. So it's all about making it very user-friendly in the future. Okay? Okay, then next thing, I'll introduce something called goal-seek. Yeah, so for goal-seek, you make sure that you clearly label the cell for the color, label a cell of which the value is actually taken from. So yeah, so say this one, right? So the question would be like, maybe you need to know the interest rate to make this cash flow to be the present value of the cash flow to be 0. So the present value, just to recap, NPV is just the discounted. So what is discount, right? So you take the value of, so discount has a time aspect to it. So say we have a time period of 5. We want to know what is the value of that year 5 cash flow today. So what that means is that generally when we look into the future, we can always take this value and invest it, in a sense invest it. So at a certain rate, then that amount should equals to the future value. So we have this rate, and in this case it's the interest rate. So we want to divide it by that investment amount and the growth amount back to times 0. So that's what generally NPV, then we sum it up across the different years. So yeah, interest rate is the first. So NPV is the net present value, interest rate, and then this is the cash flow. Yeah. So the question now is, what is the interest rate to make this PV cash flow 0? So why would you want to know that? Generally, you want to know this because we want to know what is the interest rate that is needed to make this break even in this cash flow, right? Because you can see that it's negative, positive kind of thing, right? So in this case, you could do this thing. You can just manually guess and check like 2%. Okay, no, then like 10%, like 5%. Oh, then it's a bit too high, then you go like 3.5. But obviously, there's a quicker way. So you just yeah. Can everyone go to alternate queue? You can go to the search bar and search GoSeek. Can anyone find GoSeek? Okay, everyone can find, right? Okay, so set cell. So to understand this, so set cell, set the PV cash flow cell to value. So I want to set this cell to be 0 by changing cell 28. Because just now you saw that the formula for the PV cash flow is of the cash flow here and then the interest rate. Okay, so we just hit 0, hit OK. Then we say automatically calculate, see that the value is 3.22. Then what you do for good documentation, okay, right click, new note, and say, okay, value was found by using GoSeek from cell J30, something like that. Okay, because if not, it's just a floating value here, then people don't really know how it's gotten. They will question you like, oh, how do you get this value? So just put in a note that is like that. Okay, Hannah. Then the last one is outputs.
Can you use the IRR function instead?
Can, of course. But this one is just to show if you want to use GoSeek, yeah, then you can need to note down that it's using GoSeek. Because what GoSeek does is that you see there is a value here, it's a fixed value. Say next time people want to know why this value is 3.22, you have a documentation here to say that it's 3.2. So this whole thing is to illustrate that if you use GoSeek, you need to have documentation. But obviously, you definitely can use IRR also. Yeah.
Then must the cash flow be in regular intervals?
So yeah, for MPV, what they assume, well, yes, it must be in regular intervals because they will assume to divide all of this by this interest rate. Yeah. Yeah, and so that's why you need to make sure that your cash flows is in regular intervals first. If it's not, then you need to change it a little bit. Yeah. Any more questions? Anything you guys don't understand? Okay, can. Okay, last one is outputs. So ensure that the outputs are easy to understand. Make sure there's just one key outcome. For example, one is income. Don't lump everything together. One is income statement, one is breakdown of claims, etc. Make sure that if it's meant to be printed, make sure it's printer friendly. So what it means is that like this. So you can see what is the printing like. So we go to view. You can see like page break preview like this. Oh no. Okay, wait. Let me just write something. Let's just use this tab to illustrate it. Okay. So say I want to print this thing, right? So we go to view, page break preview. So you can see that this is the outline of what's going to be printed. So you can see it kind of cuts off here. You can see this is page 1, very big, and you can see this is very small, page 2. Just if you want to just print page 1, right? You can pull this tab here, this like line here. So this one extends the printing area. Then you can kind of like pull the top to make sure that it just covers the so this one just covers the table. So when you print it, so when you print it, it will look like this. Yeah, so it will look normal. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's different types of selections. Yeah. Okay. Okay, then anyone got questions on this part? No, then I'll move on to the documentation. So audit trail was written record of how the worksheets can be used for the work and assumptions used and the issues considered. So it contains the list of tabs in the workbook, description of the data input sources, data issues should all be flagged here. So then explanation of what's done in each tab, highlight any aspects that is important for users to know, and then describes how the results can be interpreted and used. Yep. So you can typically like write it in one of the about. So it's kind of like a more descriptive about section, because you need to go into the details, like what are the assumptions being used, any data issues, what did you do here to clean the data up from the original to the version they're using for the calculations and everything. So it's just good spreadsheet hygiene to explain what you've done to it. Yeah. And then last one is the naming of the file. So the document should be clear so that the person should know like what is the purpose of the workbook. Good practice is to avoid spacing, punctuation, weird characters, so that it doesn't, so that it's easy for people to kind of understand and also find it. Then do note on some default ordering. So this will depend on the company you're in. So they might use year, month, date, or like date, month, year. So like for example, this file could be like reserving, then reserving, like then 01/20/2023, something like that. So the next one should just be like 2020, like that, so that it's easy for people to find and continue on lah. Okay. And then so another thing why we want to keep it like that, so that next time you want to change formulas, right? It's very easy. Just replace the formula. So say want to change the workbook formulas, you can just very quickly replace this. Like say you copy the workbook from 2023 January, you can just replace this to be like 01/2023 to like 02/2023. Then all of the formulas also work. So that's one of the things you want to make sure you don't really change, because maybe your like other people might want to reference your workbook and they think that you've already have a standard. If it's very standard, they can very quickly just change everything. So that's one thing you need to think about. Yeah. And then last thing is that you can protect your file. So once you finish everything, just now I mentioned you can actually protect your workbook worksheet. So now we can protect entire workbook. So go to file, then go to info, and you can find protect workbook here. So there's a few things. So first thing is you always open as read only. So if we just do this, right? So we just close it. Yeah. Just save, right? Let's go to downloads. Which one was it? This one. Yeah, so what happens is this will pop up. Author would like you to open this as read only unless you want to make changes. So most people will just open as read only, so that read only means that anything you do, it won't be saved. For example, I delete this and this, right? You close it thinking that nothing happened. You cannot really save it. Yeah, see? Because you can't save it, it's read only, and you save it as a copy or something like that. Yep, so that's how you actually protect your file. Okay. I think that's all. Oh, okay. Okay, I don't know what happened. Okay, then I think that's all for this part, which is part 3 graphs. Anything you want to clarify, anyone? Okay, I'll just leave this as if no questions, you guys can go for a break for another 5 minutes, and we'll come back. We'll go discuss the course the course submission that you have to do, and then so come back in 5 minutes. Okay. Hello everyone. Are you guys back? Please turn on your cameras if you guys are back so that I know. Okay, so I've just sent you guys the coursework in the Telegram so you guys can download. So I'll just go through what we expect, and yeah, any questions you guys can just ask us. Okay, so this is the coursework for this session. This coursework. So the submission deadline is 11 June 2023. So that is about so today 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, about 3 weeks-ish. Yeah, for you guys to attempt this and submit it. So the total marks available is 50 and the passing mark is 30. Okay, so I'll just go through the background. So Bob is a bubble tea enthusiast who's keen to open an artisanal bubble tea store. So after as a careful entrepreneur, he read studies that show that the Southeast Asian countries spend over like $5 billion on bubble tea. So Singapore stands out as one of the region's 6 key markets, and as the country with the smallest population but highest spending power. So with that in mind, he decides to open it in Singapore, but he wants to know how much is the starting cost and what is the expected profits for this business. So below, we can see this breakdown of the costs associated with starting a bubble tea store. So expense, so we have expense, equipment and rental, cost of ingredients, marketing and advertising fees, amounts. So all of these amounts are in SGD unless stated otherwise. So we have, so you can see that some of it has different currency. And then you have different ingredients. And then other ingredients would be like, different prices. And then we have marketing and advertising fees, which is 5% of sales. Yeah. The next thing we also have is economic assumptions. So we have the exchange rates. So this, you can see what it should be used for. And then discount rate here. Yeah. And then we have a few scenarios here. So we have the base scenario. We also have additional scenarios. So all of these should be kind of considered separately. So the additional scenario should be considered separately from each other. Yeah. So, okay. So the base scenario is that Bob has bought some market information, which shows that the average sales and sales growth rates of the bubble tea shops in Singapore, and he needs your help to project the expenses, revenue, and ultimately the profit. So you need to decide using the average sales as a base and use the growth rates to project the sales over 5 years. So we have a couple of things we need to consider. So what is the price you want to sell all of these bubble tea at, right? So we want to know, so the standard selling price is price per bubble tea that you should sell to earn a profit of 100,000 in the first year, okay? Then we have the grade differentiated selling price. So this one is using different types of prices for different types of tea. Then you can get the expected revenue from it also. So below these three, 1, 2, 3, 4 tables is what market information that Bob bought. So average bubble tea sales per day. So this per year actually, yeah. And then growth rate of the bubble tea sales per year here, 10%, 20%, 30%. And then the advertising cost by age. Under 18 to 35, 36 to 35, and above 65. So these are just in amount. These are not percentages, okay? So just remember that. And then this is the tea mix by age. So what this means is that the different tea types have different types of audiences. So you can see the oolong tea, all of this will add up to 100. You can see that for oolong tea, it's more popular with the 18 to 35 age group, and then black tea, and green tea, and so on and so forth. Okay. And then we have the additional scenario. So Bob decides to use a grade differentiated selling price. But he thinks that Singapore has too many bubble tea shops for him to differentiate himself from other bubble tea stores. So he looks across the border and has an idea to expand his business into Malaysia. So you can see that he will sell the exact same product and will choose the following prices instead due to the relatively lower spending power in Malaysia. So you can see that you checked out the prices and detailed analysis about the market in Malaysia, and there's like different costs, and then the projection of the sales is a bit different from Singapore. then he'll want to know whether he should open a store in Malaysia. Yeah. And then the second scenario is about Bob. Years after starting his bubble tea shop, he suddenly has a new competitor called Sweet Chat. So this competitor has been using the slogan, bubble teas for all, bubble teas for $4. So all of their bubble teas are priced at $4 each. But he realized that Sweet Chat doesn't differentiate its prices based on the quality of the ingredients and only sells grade B and C bubble teas. So he wants to compete based on price. So he will sell his grade B and C's at a cheaper and more auspicious price at $3.80. Then he will advertise his grade A bubble tea as premium and sell that at a higher price. So while engaging in price competition, Bob must ensure that he still can earn a total profit of 100,000. So for the course requirements, so that is the base background. These are the questions that you guys have to answer. So for the base scenario is 25 marks. Additional scenario is 7 marks for the first one, and then the second one is price competition. Yeah, and then so that's 40 marks in total for it. Then as mentioned previously, we have gone through all of the different types of things that you need to maintain good spreadsheet hygiene. So you need to demonstrate good modeling technique and practice, and then you also need some checks, okay? So I'll go through, yeah, so I guess this one, yeah, you guys can leave it up to interpretation. Yeah, anything that's not very clear, we'll try to answer, but as much as possible, try to answer it yourself. Yeah, I will send you guys all the documentation example spreadsheet, this one, so you guys can kind of reference this to create your model. Sorry, I see something in chat, sorry. Okay, so Kevin asked, for projection of sales is 10% more than in Malaysia. Does that mean that the market information that Bob, does that mean that is the market information that Bob brought times 110%? Yeah, more or less, definitely. So he's mentioned talking about this one, market information. So it's not this one times 100%, but like the base projection. Overall, it should be 10% more than Singapore. Okay? Does that make sense? I assume it's okay. Okay. Yeah. Any questions on anything about this coursework? We'll send you the details on where to send it, so it will be to our emails, and you just need to include the spreadsheet. Yeah. Okay. Okay, then let me see what else is there. Okay, no questions. Then I think that's all for this session. So we will be having an additional like half an hour or more discussing about anything you guys want to ask. So like, yeah, anything, we'll stop the recording. So anything you want to ask about, anything, exams, work, or anything, yeah, feel free to ask. Yeah, else you are free to go. So okay, any questions?